I just read your Twitter this morning. I'm totally with you. It is absolutely 100% communist insurgency, nothing less.
So when you see what's going on in Minneapolis, does it remind you of the Cultural Revolution in China?
It reminds me of communist revolution, including Cultural Revolution.
Yes.
But they did the same thing before they got power. They absolutely created crisis, and then they mobilized the masses against the sitting government, which was the nationalists. They played the same game over and over until they got into power. The Cultural Revolution is just Mao's way to get back the power that he believed that his political rival had. It's all about power, and that is just that simple.
So talk to us about how they create the crisis and then they use the crisis to destabilize the country.
Well, for the Cultural Revolution, the crisis is there are people in position of power. What they want to do, they want to take us back to capitalism. That's what I was told. That's what I believed. So what do we need to do? The young kids, the Red Guards, we should go and get those people in position, including teachers, principals, get them out of power. And then eventually Mao want to replace them with his own people. But before the Marxist, before the victory of CCP taking over China, they did the same thing. They created a crisis. And then they mobilized people. There's one example I think a lot of people don't know about. So in 1946, they really want to weaken the American support of the nationalist government. So they created crisis. What's that? They accused that two Marines raped a Chinese student from Beijing University. And it turned out to be manufactured. Doesn't matter. They mobilized 10,000 people in Beijing and demonstrated on the streets and all sorts of chaos to demand that the United States get out of China. And when they say get out of China, they don't want the government, a U.S. government, to support the nationalists. It's the same playbook they played over and over and over. Now we see it unfold here in America.
And so when you have an individual like a Renee Good, like an Alex Preddy, someone who goes in and is totally a true believer in these situations, they actually want those people to be killed because then they can turn them into a martyr, and then they can use that act to try to smear the government that's currently in power.
Exactly. They need martyrs. And there's a lot of martyrs in China. And I grew up learning about their stories until later I found out it's all BS. And those people are victims. They are true believers turned into useful idiots. And the communists here, they want more crisis. They want more deaths. They absolutely rooting for more violence and deaths. And that's how they're going to use that for their political gains. It's all about power.
It is all about power. And so when we talk about I just had my brother on, he's there in Minneapolis, as well as Black Preacher, who's there with him working on this, and Cam Higbee. We see now the levels of organization. These are cadres. These are trained. They're organized. They're planned. Isn't that exactly how the organization of the Red Guards was?
Yes, of course, in China, during the Cultural Revolution, and they had one thing going, that is Mao was behind them. Mao absolutely openly told everyone that he was their Red Commander-in-Chief. Because of that, the Red Guards was given this power to destroy, to beat people, torture people, even kill people. That is what kind of a revolution that Mao was launching. So the Red Guards destroyed everything until they're destroyed by Mao. And this is the part 2 of the story of the communist story that the new American useful idiots never learned because it's never taught. And my father is the example. He joined the revolution in 1949, thinking that he was doing something great, until afterwards he realized he was the target of the revolution. solely because he was from a landowner family. And so it happened over and over and over. The useful idiot never end well, never.
No, it never does. And it's only useful for those in power or those who want to take power. I have to ask, by the way, that seeing as we are talking about Minnesota, Tim Walz, he spent many times taking trips to China, all the way back to, I believe, even during the Tiananmen Square protests and right after Tiananmen Square massacre, Tim Walz himself was taking trips to China. Now, I spent time in China. Everybody knows I'm very public about that, although I have a slightly different stance on the CCP than it comes to Tim Walz. Do you think Tim is doing this on purpose and deliberately because he may have learned about this history as well?
Absolutely. He is a communist. There's just no doubt about it. And he lied about being there in Tiananmen Square. He went after that, the massacre the year after. But he made that June 4th as his wedding anniversary. He is absolutely a communist. And he knows the playbook. It is open playbook. You create a crisis, and then you use that and mobilize people. Mass mobilization is the key feature of communism. They get all those people involved and then use them as pawns and to create a crisis, and then they use that against their political enemy. And during the Cultural Revolution, it's Mao's political opponent. Before it was the sitting government, the nationalist government, and today in America, it is the Trump administration is democratically elected government. So they're doing exactly the same thing. But the people don't realize it. That is because we have lost the control of educational system for decades. Those people's brain was washed so clean that they just can't think critically anymore. They don't want to think. They don't even want to think. You can give them the fact. They don't want to look at the fact. So we're in the moment now. It is absolutely almost impossible to change those people's mind. So it is very, very challenging. And so a lot of people here in America were just like, when they see someone hurt, they absolutely think this is a state violence. It is a PR war, and the Trump administration has to win this war. Have to. We already passed the Rubicon. There's no way back. If we step down, they know exactly what to do next. When they are cornered, they will launch a mass mobilization, and then they will push back. And so basically, eventually, we're talking about 2026 election. They can use all this
and
propaganda.
They will deploy it again